Chapter 15, 64. Decent, I suppose. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. In a blink of an eye, Fang Yuan was already surrounded tightly by countless blade path phantoms. Not only this, the endless blade lights filled the whole sky, isolating inside from outside. Whoever you may be, your defensive killer move is indeed amazing. Meng Tu was protected by many layers of blade path phantoms. He gazed at Fang Yuan deeply before smiling and rubbing his hands to ease the numbness from the previous force. But Meng Tu raised his head slightly at the tall Emperor Yama, his gaze filled with pity. You should never have come to find trouble for me here in Autumn Blade Plain. Heh, actually, it was not wrong to find trouble for me here. But your timing is really bad. If it were when I had just come here, you might still have some chance at survival. But now, heh. Meng Tu laughed, holding his hands behind his back as he shook his head. At the next moment, Fang Yuan continued after Meng Tu's words. But now, this place is already filled with your traces. Since years back, you have been comprehending Blade Path here, trying to break through to Blade Path Great Grandmaster Realm. Thus, you can greatly influence the Tao marks of this place to form an environment that is close to an immortal battlefield killer. Move 1, like this scene in front of me. You? Meng Tu's expression immediately changed. He had believed no one knew of his trump card, and thus had never expected Fang Yuan to not only be unsurprised, but also speak of his trump card in such a familiar way. Fang Yuan's low and deep voice continued. Do you know why I am looking for trouble with you? It is precisely because you have this method which can form such a battlefield environment. This is close to an immortal battlefield, but it is still not a true immortal battlefield, with an essential difference that your influence is already at its maximum. You are unable to control it at will, so it might have trapped me. But aren't you also trapped? Meng Tu's pupils shrunk rapidly. His pleased mood had completely disappeared. Who exactly are you? He asked Fang Yuan nervously. Fang Yuan chuckled, looking at his surroundings. Although your blade path phantoms are in high numbers, their quality is not up to par. It happens that I also have a similar method. Why don't we spar a little? Fang Yuan's yellowish-brown emperor robe suddenly emitted countless howls and shrieks. Next, those ghostly monsters weaved on the surface of the robe came alive and started to move, then jumped out of Fang Yuan's Emperor Yama robe one by one, turning from small to large. These ghostly monsters had human shapes, but they all had malevolent and terrifying faces, knife-like claws and bloodshot eyes, looking quite horrifying. Kill! Meng Tu narrowed his eyes as he mobilized his blade path phantoms to charge towards these ghostly monsters. These blade path phantoms all had his appearance, but their faces were vague, and compared to the size of the ghostly monsters, they were like rats against carriage wheels. The ghostly monsters howled and spread their huge arms like a tall tree waving its branches. Bang, bang, bang! All the blade path phantoms on their way were destroyed. The monsters ran amok while letting out crazed screams and howls, easily crushing all the blade path phantoms on their way. These ghostly monsters are really powerful, each having rank 7 battle strength. Meng Tu had rich battle experience, as he noticed this with just a short observation. His heart immediately felt as heavy as a mountain. His eyelids twitched violently. But it doesn't matter. My blade path phantoms are created from the natural Tao marks in Autumn Blade Plain, which are almost endless. Although the quality is not good, it can be made up with the quantity. Meng Tu quickly calmed down. These Yama children have quite the battle strength. Fang Yuan assessed inwardly and was pleased. These ghostly monsters originated from the ancient soul beasts that Fang Yuan had gathered in Green Ghost Desert. After Fang Yuan deduced the killer move, Emperor Yama, he modified these ancient soul beasts, changing them into human shapes and turning them into Yama children. This inspiration came from Blood Deity Immortal Gu's recipe. Fang Yuan was a grand master in Blood Path. With the light of wisdom's help, he had already completed the Blood Deity Immortal Gu recipe. The current Fang Yuan, with his refinement path quasi-supreme attainment, could change any immortal Gu recipe into an immortal killer move. So Fang Yuan was able to grasp the immortal killer move Blood Deity. The killer move Yamcha was deduced from consulting not only blood deity, but also some main contents of Spectral Soul's true inheritance. For example, Soul Beast modification. Spectral Soul modified the Soul Beasts in the Door of Life and Death, causing them to become loyal to him. They even faced Duke Long without fearing death. There was also another Soul Path Immortal killer move. Life and Death Retrieval. Spectral Soul Demon. Venerable had created this immortal killer move by comprehending the secluded domain of heaven and earth, the Door of Life and Death. What kind of place was the Door of Life and Death? When any living being died, their soul would return to the Door of Life and Death. It was only when Red Lotus Demon Venerable damaged Fate Goo that the Door of Life and Death's power weakened greatly, allowing countless souls to linger behind in the living world to gradually turn into soul beasts. Life and Death Retrieval had the power to let the Goo Immortal retrieve souls from the Door of Life and Death. Fang Yuan completely merged this move into Emperor Yama, giving his Yama children the ability to instantly return. Soon, a Yama child gave a miserable shriek. Its thigh was broken and it was knocked down onto the ground. Countless Blade Path phantoms immediately flocked towards it. But Fang Yuan willed, "Return!" At the next moment, this Yama child immediately turned into fog, which flew back into Fang Yuan's emperor robe, turning back into a monster image that was motionless, but was filled with injuries and a broken thigh. "It can do this?" Meng Tu was astonished once again. His hands, which had been held behind his back, were loosened as his gaze towards Fang Yuan turned somewhat stunned. This was too outrageous. Meng Tu had been intending to rely on quantity to kill every Yama child, but had not expected them to be able to return like this. Theoretically, any killer moves could be deciphered, but Meng Tu was a Blade Path Goo Immortal and not a Wisdom Path Goo Immortal. Even if he was a Wisdom Path Goo Immortal against a rank 8 killer move like Emperor Yama, unless he was a Wisdom Path Great Expert, how could he decipher it on the spot? Even Fairy Z-Wei could not decipher it on the spot. When deducing Reverse Flow Protection Seal, she had to repeatedly gather clues from battles, continuously accumulating them before she was able to gain some results. Fang Yuan's Emperor Yama used Ghostly Concealment as its base. This rank 9 killer move was an artificial secluded domain of heaven and earth at the same level as Reverse Flow River. How could Meng Tu break it? Meng Tu simply could not deduce it. He could only summon his courage to continue fighting with Fang Yuan. However, the Yama children's quantity was limited. Although they killed a large amount of Blade Path phantoms, the injuries accumulated to a serious degree, and they were recalled by Fang Yuan. On the battlefield, there were fewer and fewer Yama children, while Blade Path phantoms seemed to be unlimited. After all, Fang Yuan had limited time. He was not able to modify enough soul beasts. This battle has likely weakened Autumn Blade Plane's foundation by more than half. Meng Tu's expression was gloomy. The price he had to pay was high, as he was using the whole of Autumn Blade Plane, the future benefits of Hmong tribe, to engage in a battle of attrition with Fang Yuan. But regardless of how much he had to sacrifice, Meng Tu still persisted with this tactic. Fang Yuan's previous words had truly scared him. He had already regarded Fang Yuan as the strongest enemy in his life, so he was cautiously using any available methods to deal with Fang Yuan. But this was also what Fang Yuan intended to attain with his words. Only this Meng Tu could be the best whetstone to test his Emperor Yama killer move. There were less than 10 Yama children left, and they stood on guard beside Fang Yuan, while the unlimited number of Blade Path phantoms surged towards them like a tidal wave. The speed of recovery is passable. Fang Yuan's expression did not change. He had been standing on the same spot from the start, unmoving like a millennium-old tree. By now, the first Yama child he had recalled to his emperor robe had already recovered completely. When these Yama children modified from soul beasts returned to the robe, they would start recovering from their injuries. Naturally, it expended Fang Yuan's soul foundation. This involved a profundity of Goo refinement. The Yama child was still a soul beast, and the healing from another angle was like a Goo refinement process. If I bring out these recovered Yama children, I wonder what expression Meng Tu will have. Fang Yuan smiled inwardly, but did not do this, instead using another method. Let me see Emperor Yama's offensive prowess. At the next moment, Fang Yuan inwardly called out, Soul explosion! The Emperor Yama suddenly spread its arms. Its whole body shook as vast waves of darkness erupted out from it. The Yama children were completely safe in the dark waves, only shaking like they were being blown at by a fierce wind. But those blade path phantoms were like weak candle flames under a storm, instantly extinguishing. In an instant, the whole battlefield was cleared. The unlimited blade lights were instantly destroyed. Meng Tu was sent back hundreds of steps from the soul explosion and was half kneeling on the ground. A glaring radiance was being emitted by his whole body as he pushed his defensive killer moves to their limits. Such power! Meng Tu quickly stood up and looked up at Fang Yuan with a shaken expression. This killer move is truly amazing. It should be a combination move containing both offense and defense. Its defense is so strong, and there is also the powerful method of sending out troops. But its strongest point is its offensive power. I have never seen or heard of this killer move. Was it created by this person? If so, then who in the world is this person who can create such a killer move? This soul explosion effect is decent, I suppose. Fang Yun gave a nod of approval. One Yama child was completely used to create the power of a peak rank 7 killer move, but it still did not reach rank 8. Defense, Yama child, recovery, soul explosion. These aspects are all at the peak of rank 7, but Emperor Yama's true power lies in 2 other aspects. Let's try this. Just as Fang Yuan was thinking, Meng Tu had already charged over, shouting, "Come, try my killer move, Heaven and Earth Blade." Note, Immortal killer move. Great thief ghost hand. In an instant, a ghost hand, as if from the netherworld, that was as large as a handheld fan appeared behind Meng Tu and directly entered his body. It then came out, disappearing from sight once again. Puff! Meng Tu suddenly coughed out a mouthful of blood. The core immortal goo of Heaven and Earth Blade was robbed. The killer move failed and the backlash immediately inflicted serious injuries on him. What's going on? Where is my immortal goo? Meng Tu's heart shook in unprecedented fright.